You finished! Okay, now we get to go finish.
They finished.
They finished! That's
Continue. Help them out. Help them out.
Okay, so what do you guys have so far?
So an activity that I like to do is called A through Z writing. A lot of the times these students, like I said, they struggle with just putting words on a paper. So A through Z writing is really fun. Let me go ahead and show you how it looks like. So the whole point of A through Z writing is students are supposed to begin a sentence with A. The next one would be with B, C, D, E. So for example, this says, after a long day of work, Jeff went to the beach. Baldwin Beach was filled with people. Children were playing all day long. Don't go in the water, yelled the lifeguard. Everyone began running out of the water. So then obviously the next letter will be F. The whole point with this is to teach students cohesion. This one here says, always remember to brush your teeth. Birds are always flying in the sky. Could you please pass the sugar? Do what you love to do. Elephants are big animals. So the second one that we read is one of what not to do. So we want the students to understand their writing has to make sense. It has to flow together. So the first activity that I do is students are on their own. They set up their notebook and they have A through Z story. So they're going to end up getting a pencil and highlighting just the first letters in each sentence so that I can see how it kind of flowed together, A through Z, alphabetically. Now, the other thing that they're going to have to do is make sure that their story, you're able to understand at least what's going on in the story. So it can't be random like the second one that we read. It has to kind of flow together, just like the first one that we ended up reading. So those are just two examples that I show my class, letting them know a story that makes sense versus a story that doesn't make any sense at all, using A through Z. My students love to do A through Z writing just because they come up with the silliest stories. And they know that no matter where the story is going, as long as they're following A through Z and it makes sense, then they just have fun with it. So that's kind of what I like to do. Another activity that I do is also A through Z writing, except this time they're using large chart paper, and go ahead and follow me. So I break my kids off into groups of 4. You can do more. It could even be groups of 6 if you're working with larger class. Because I'm doing summer school, I'm doing a smaller group. And there's 2 groups that are going to be doing A through Z. So you can see here, this is their A through Z story, and it's titled A through Z story right here. And then the other 2 students are gonna be here. And this is in a 100-piece puzzle. I set up a timer for about, the first time I do this, it's about 3 minutes. And those that are working on A through Z, they start writing their story. So at last, the final day of school had come. Bob was excited to go to 6th grade. So they're doing the A through Z writing that I just showed you guys before, and they start it. The first group has a greenish color, and the second group that has the puzzle, I gave them a blue color for their writing, so I can tell what group wrote what. And so once the timer goes off, it takes about 3 minutes, timer goes off, and they are having to switch. So those that were working on the puzzle now are working on the A through Z writing. Those that were working on the writing are now working on the puzzle. Before I even start this activity, I have the students practice switching as fast as they can. In the very beginning, when students don't know what's going on, they just kind of take their time and they're just walking a little bit slower than they're supposed to. So I make it a little competition of which table actually switched the fastest, and I let them know that their switch actually is very important on how fast they're gonna finish their puzzle and how fast they end up catching up on reading what their other partners wrote and adding on to it. And it has to make sense. So they're practicing just how to make that story flow among their classmates here that they're working with. So I set this up with a group of 15. I had 3 different tables, 3 different groups working somewhere in puzzles. So you can end up doing 3 students or even 4 students working on a puzzle and 3 or 4 students even working on a story and having them kind of gather those ideas. So I am not concerned about grammar. This is probably like the first 2 weeks that I'm teaching writing. I'm not concerned with grammar. I don't really care on even grading these. My thing is, are they able to come up with a story and make sense of it? That's it. That's the practice. So many students, they start writing and it might not make sense initially when they start, but at least they have table groups, classmates. I hear a lot of discussions saying, no, we can't add that sentence because look at the last sentence that our group wrote. It doesn't go with what you were saying, so let's try something else. And they work it out, and it's just so cool being able to see them help each other on what makes sense and what doesn't. And those that are struggling with writing, I see them, they're having a lot of fun with this because they also start realizing, oh, I understand why my sentence might not make sense, or I understand why the sentence that I did use makes sense with my partner. So it's just a fun little activity on just showing the class how to make a story that makes sense, and it's A through Z writing. So kids really appreciate and love this activity. So hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want, go to the dollar store, pick different 100-piece puzzles. Here's another one. Here's another one. And yeah, these kids, they have a lot of fun with it. So enjoy writing, you guys.
Okay, now we get to go home.
They finished.
They finished. Subscribe.